Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Marty Gaal. I'm a USA Triathlon Coach and a certified strength and conditioning specialist. And today I'm going to talk about Ironman race day nutrition. So nutrition on race day, calories burned on race day, things like that. So Ironman for most athletes, super fast age groupers are going to be in the low nines. A few of them get under 9 hours, which is great. And our last place finishers are going to be around 17 hours. So we need to manage our energy intake and our energy systems for a day like this. So I wanted to go over a couple of things. The first thing that you should know is that your body will burn a lot of stored fat throughout a day like this. Most athletes are going to be at an output level, an energy output level that's going to be somewhere around 50% stored fat and 50% muscle glycogen or current calorie intake. So we're going to break those down a little bit. The muscle glycogen that you have stored in your body, it depends on how big you are and male or female, amount of muscle mass, things like that, but around 1,600 to 2,000 calories. So that's 400 to 500 grams of muscle glycogen. Muscle glycogen is not exactly carbohydrate, but it is very close to carbohydrate. It converts into energy very easily. It is the go-to energy source for your body. Now, fat, most of us, even if you're at like 4% body fat, you're going to have enough stored fat to get you through a long, long period of moving your body. However, the problem comes when you exhaust your muscle glycogen and you rely only on stored fat and or current intake. So let's go over some examples so you know what I'm talking about. Say you're a 200-pound man and you are about a 12-hour Ironman athlete. Everybody burns a little differently, but you're going to assume that you're going to burn 800 calories an hour. It could be a lot more, especially if your energy level is higher, meaning your output level is a little higher than I'm thinking of. But I'm going to go for 800 calories an hour for this example. So 800 calories an hour for 12 hours is 9,600 calories. Now, assuming that this man is on the bigger side of athletes and he has 2,000 calories of stored carbohydrate or stored muscle glycogen, I should say. So we have 2,000 of muscle glycogen, we have stored fat, and 800 calories an hour. So if it's at a 50-50 burn ratio, meaning he's burning approximately 50% carbohydrate and approximately 50% fat, that means we're going through 400 calories of carbs and 400 calories of fat. If we have 2,000 stored calories in carbohydrate form, that means he has 5 hours until he has exhausted his muscle glycogen. So after that point, he would have to slow way down and just use stored fat, right? This is why you have to develop a nutrition plan, because we need to close the gap in between all that burn. So if this athlete wants to get to the finish line without bonking, the gap that we're looking at is the difference between half of 9,600, which is 4,800, minus 2,000 calories of stored muscle glycogen. So it's about 2,800 calories minimum that the athlete needs to ingest during the race in order to get to the finish line without bonking. All right, so that if you break it down by 12 hours, that's only 220 calories per hour, 200 calories per hour, somewhere in that range. I'm not a mathematician, I'm a triathlon coach, but you can see what I'm saying. Now that calorie target is low for somebody that big, right? So I'm probably underestimating the burn rate on this athlete. Realistically, this athlete should be going for 400 plus calories, mostly carbohydrate on the bike, and 300 or so on the run. The reason being, you also have, beyond the exercise that you're doing, you have all the other burn that's going on, just the burn rate of your life metabolism, okay? So that's a basic summary of how you have to approach your Ironman race day nutrition. Now, let's say you're a smaller woman, 120 pounds, and you're top level amateur, more in the 10-hour range. if this is the case, then you probably have closer to 1,500 or 1,600 calories of stored muscle glycogen, and your burn rate for exercise might be more like 500 or 600 calories per hour. It could be higher again, could be underestimating, but let's go with 600 per hour. So for 10 hours, 600 per hour, that's 6,000 calories that are going to be burned. Half coming from stored fat, half coming from muscle glycogen. The rest need to be filled by current intake. Now, if we take the 1,600 of stored muscle glycogen, half of 6,000 is 3,000. 3,000 minus 1,600 is 1,400. So at a minimum, this athlete needs to ingest 140 calories per hour throughout the entire race, right? You can't ingest anything in the swim. You could theoretically, but I wouldn't recommend it. So you're having to already make up on the bike for what you didn't get in the swim. You have some pre meals at breakfast, and you got to figure out your plan from there. Now, here are some of the other issues that we have to go over. So this was in one of my other presentations. This is kind of the ideal point for most Ironman athletes at this, 70% of FTP, maybe a little lower, maybe a little higher. You're at about 65% of your maximum heart rate. It's also got other names, VT1, etc. But the point being, most athletes are going to be at a 50-50 burn rate. However, if you're a faster athlete, that means your energy output is higher. You might be at like 75% of FTP, 77% of FTP. The harder you go, the more calories you burn from carbohydrate, meaning your muscle glycogen stores will be burned more quickly. And so if you're fast enough, it's very possible that you could run through your entire muscle glycogen store in 3 hours, right? Where you're burning like 85% of stored carbohydrate, or 80% and 20% fat burn rate. So it's a much different calculation if that's where you're at. This is the reason why you'll see articles or interviews with some professional athletes that say they're trying to get in as many calories as possible on the bike because they're burning them up almost immediately. So we're talking 600, 700, 800 calories per hour on the bike ride, because it's virtually impossible to ingest that much on the run because of the gravity and bouncing around and stuff. So the bike is your friend as far as eating and drinking goes. Everyone is different. Your burn rate is going to be different than somebody else's. Your metabolic systems are going to be a little different than somebody else's, meaning you might naturally burn more carbohydrate or you might naturally burn more fat at the same effort level. And you can, to some extent, train your fat burning ability by doing a lot of low to mid zone 2 training. So that's another good reason for you as an athlete to make sure that when you go out and do your long rides, when you do your long runs, you're at the appropriate intensity. If you go too hard, you're training your body to burn carbohydrate. And for a 10, 12, 15-hour day in an Ironman, that is going to work against you. It may feel good in the moment of doing a hard, long group ride or keeping up with the fast guys on a long run. But in the long term, for an Ironman training approach, it doesn't suit you. You need to go at your pace and your intensity. So that is a summary. That is not an entire package. If you want to know more about things like that, you really should see a local nutritionist that could do testing with you, that can talk you through how to get these calories in, that can talk you through different options as far as what to use as far as your intake. There are a lot of different products out there. I'm not suggesting any particular one. So I hope that helps. If you have any ideas, put them in the comments. This is a video about Ironman training, and this is us. Like and subscribe. See you next time.